Nerdish, nerdy, nerd news.
Hi, and welcome to Nerdish, Nerdy Nerd News. Come along and ride with us as we explore, discuss, and nerd-splain some of the most interesting topics of today.
Hey, I'm Ferg. I spent my youth playing sports, then I moved into IT, so I've been around nerds quite a bit. I hope to have some laughs and learn some things along the way.
Hey, I'm Tim. Hung around with nerds a lot growing up, hoping that it would rub off. I think it kind of did, because I'm kind of nerdish. And as always, my co-hosts.
Hey, thanks, Tim. I'm Kristian. I've been playing and writing, creating games and Dungeons & Dragons since high school. My idea of a relaxing weekend is playing vids with my buds online. I also used to do complex math troubles with my dad for fun. I am very nerdy. And with us, to help us understand the world a little better...
Hi, I'm Jess. I've been programming and using computers since the early 80s. I'm a voracious reader, consistently going through about 500,000 or more words a month. I've got some biochemistry in my background, and I've been using technology for as long as I can remember. I am the nerd.
And we're back.
Hey.
Episode 2 of...
Yep, I decided to wear the same thing today.
Me too.
Yeah, I'm glad.
A week later, and I'm wearing the
Yeah,
exact
look
same
at that.
thing.
Better
That's
than that
crazy.
ugly white T-shirt you always wear.
I like
He does. He looks like he's been homeless for like 3 weeks with this white T-shirt that he likes wearing.
Got
Does
lots of
nothing for
sweat
his
stains.
figure.
Yeah, but it's
lots of
comfortable.
sweat stains.
Isn't it, Josh? It's probably comfortable.
It is. Yeah. And my
Sweat
argument has always been, if you can dress simply, it's one less decision you have to make in the day. And you only have a certain amount of brain energy, so I'd rather just keep it.
You're
Keep it uniform.
You need to
preaching-
keep all you can get.
If I can
So,
wear white shirts and shorts every day of the year, then great.
You're preaching to the choir here. Like, this is a guy who barely rolls out of bed in his pajamas and walks to his office. Like,
I just make sure I have the proper shirt on, because if there's ever like a call that I have to go on, you have to make sure you're not wearing like the,
I'm with stupid shirt with
Yeah.
the arrow pointing. It's sorry, I didn't know. Fire
My
CEO.
favorite's when you're in the pajamas and you have a upcoming meeting and you just change your top and leave the bottoms on. And as long as you look
Absolutely.
good,
Yeah.
as long as the chest up looks good, then you
Yeah.
can look professional.
I don't think I've ever done that.
Oh,
on
I've
all the-
100% done that.
on all the meetings I've done, because I'm like, the one time I need to stand up and then they'll know I'm in my underwear. So,
come on, Jesse. Most of the meetings you've had with Josh, he's probably not had pants on.
probably, well, but we won't get into why though, because that would even be something that
I've had nothing on.
oh no, please, going in the wrong direction with this. So last week we talked about solar. We talked a little bit about battery technology. Then we talked about wee hydro.
Wee.
What do we need to go with now? The electrification of vehicles, level 3 charging in Saskatchewan. You want to do that one?
Let's do that one.
So, how hard is it to get your cars charged up there in
Funny
the Great
you should
North?
say that. I was looking this up, and I couldn't believe it. Kristian, of course, has 2 electric vehicles, and he just recently did a road trip, actually.
Yeah, road trip out to BC, which we can get into, and I'll explain to you about how good it was.
Yeah, but for Canada, Saskatchewan actually has the most charging stalls per electric vehicles. It's second place, actually, but when they talk about the Yukon, they only have 47 registered electrical vehicles up there, so that's kind of...
Wow, okay.
Yeah, but here in Saskatchewan...
100 residents, so.
Yeah, exactly. Here in Saskatchewan, when this date is, I think it was just this a little while ago, August 1st.
My wife just got back from the Yukon, so she went up there to Alaska, and she got to see Denali and was up there for a while. Loved it.
Yeah, it's a beautiful country. I've got
it is.
aunts and uncles who live up there, RCMP officers, and they that's an interesting posting for a police officer in the middle of nowhere.
So we have... go ahead.
I was saying last week we actually brought on somebody who was an expert in battery technology, but they were from Canada, the other side. But they were discussing the charging network, and it seemed like for his network, it wasn't actually that bad.
Yeah, as you go further east, it gets lower and lower. But here in Saskatchewan, we have about 23 stalls per vehicle currently. So
actually not
there's
bad.
540 some vehicles registered, and there's like about 123 stalls currently. Now, of those, I don't know how many are actually working because a lot of them are.
But that's where apps like PlugShare and whatnot have really helped us all out, kind of communicate with each other what is working and what isn't.
But then as you go further east, you get into like Ontario, they're down around 3 stalls per 100. But they also have a heck of a lot more. They have like 36,000 vehicles and about 1,100 stalls. So
do you know the actual number of electric vehicles that are currently on the roads in Canada?
I could
I'm
probably
sure he can.
I could figure it out
just like you can.
I'm gonna Google the U.S. and somebody Google Canada.
Ask Jeeves. While they're doing that, let's go ahead and talk about your trip that you took.
Let's talk about that. So I went from Moose Jaw here in the middle of Saskatchewan, which if any of your American listeners aren't sure where that is, we're straight north of North Dakota.
Yeah.
Same kind of territory, same kind of farmland, very rich farmland for the bottom half of the province.
And flat.
And very flat. But
so for you, North Dakota is actually South Dakota, and South Dakota is very South Dakota.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
You have South Dakota and further South Dakota.
There you go. One or the other.
So we went from Moose Jaw here and drove all the way out to Vancouver, BC, and then drove around there for a couple weeks and came back. So it was 5,000 kilometer trip.
Wow.
Yeah. And we didn't, like, one of my buddies had said, do not pass a good charger. Like, his theory was, like, just if you're going 100, maybe 200 kilometers and you come by a charger that on PlugShare or any of those apps that is rated really well, stop for 10 minutes, get a little bit of a charge, move on. Don't plan to get to the place you're at with 10% or 20% battery, and then you get there and the charger's, charging you at 8 kilowatts. You're now sitting at that charger that's supposed to be 350 and you're getting 8 out of it. How many times have we all done that?
Yeah, quite a few.
Yeah.
Yep.
So his theory, I lived by that theory all the way out there. And, I've got a 9-year-old, just like, you, Jesse, you got some kids, and Josh, you guys have some kids, I'm sure. Yep. They all need pee breaks.
How that happened.
It wasn't by choice.
Yeah, I don't know if I ever catch the guy. Anyway.
But yeah, we went out to Vancouver and back, and it cost us $156 to go 5,000 kilometers.
Wow.
That was my total amount used at charging stations.
And did you do the calculation of what it would have cost in a gas vehicle?
Yeah, it was like $2,000.
Yeah.
It was almost $2,000 for my old Highlander hybrid EV. Yeah.
So there is a little bit of a cost savings, eh?
Yeah. And I mean, we had a couple hotel stays where we had the slow, 8 kilowatt charge overnight. But by morning, we were back up to full. So there was, I think I got 4 of those where we picked hotels that had chargers at them. It was just
free with your stay. So.
Planning.
Yeah, I think every hotel needs the level 2, the level 2 charging infrastructure. Mm-hmm. If you can get 8 to 10, there's some that I've seen that are 15. But like if you can plug in the afternoon when you check in and be full by the next morning when you leave, there's no need. No. I've seen some.
That comment brought to you by Linkwell. If you are a hotel out there, please contact us for a level 2 charger. We can hook you up with Linkwell Solutions.
But that's where the level 2 options for there make the most sense. And then obviously along the roadways for publicly accessible areas, that's when you need the faster chargers.
But even if the hotels wanted to charge an extra $5 a night for that to reserve the charging stall. Yep. I would have been fine with that. I mean, we were spending $200 to $300 a night on hotel rooms. Like, what's another
$5 would be what the power would cost.
Yeah.
Now, my beef was I took my wife and kids down to Disney, and they had a level 2 charger at Disney. Mm-hmm. It charged me it was a by hour rate, and it was super slow. It charged me like $50 to fill it up, but it got full in the middle of the night. and then charge $10 an hour for it. So I either had to set an alarm for 3:00 in the morning to move my vehicle, or when I got up and got to my vehicle by 8 a.m., I had gotten charged an extra $50.
I know.
Got it.
And there was 12 extra ports just sitting there,
empty.
But I got billed almost $100 to fill up my level 2 charging experience. And I was like, man, that hurts.
Yeah. We had a couple like that too, where you were sitting there and my little app comes up and says, "Oh, your car's done charging." I'm like, "Oh, okay. Well, we'll be done in 10-15 minutes." And then I look at the app after, and it's like another $5 or $10 they charge for me to just be plugged.
That's parking costs.
Yeah, parking costs. But on our trip, we averaged 16.5 to 15.2 kilowatts per 100K, which for you guys would be 3.8 to 4.1 miles per kilowatt.
That
really
is fantastic.
efficient.
Yeah.
We might get 2. Well, I
Our
get
trucks,
less than 2.
our trucks, I mean, my lifetime average in my truck, including highway and residential, is 2.3 miles per kilowatt.
This is an Ioniq 5.
Ioniq 6.
A 6,
So
yeah.
that's the sedan, which is the lowest drag coefficient production car right now. But
ours are not very efficient. They're very, very heavy.
but
and
you can
they look
carry
like an
things.
F-150.
I can't carry things.
That's true.
I
I can
have-
tow 10,000 pounds for 50 miles, but yeah.
13,000.
Yeah, like
I think they're 13 on
Yeah, the Ioniq 6 doesn't have a frunk per se. It has a small glove box under the trunk. Like I can
Frunk
put
envy.
I very much do
What?
have frunk envy of you two.
What the frunk are you talking But yeah, no, I mean, I love my truck. I still save a ton of money on gas. But I mean, the F-150 Lightning is not going to be, I mean, in any of the large scale trucks and SUVs that they're producing are not the most efficient EVs on the road. No, we looked that up, and there were some of the most efficient ones were the Tesla, but I mean, the Hyundai is very, I mean, 3.8 to 4.1. And what speeds was that averaging at?
Full 60, 65 miles an hour.
Yeah.
That's just, I mean, that's insane.
That's really good.
That's really good.
The part that I loved the most and my wife hated the most was whenever we'd come up to pass someone, because a lot of the highways up in Canada here are 2 lanes or at most. So you'll come up behind a truck doing 55 and there's 13 cars lined up behind it trying to wait to pass in that mountain pass. And my wife's like, "Oh, what are you going to do?" And I'm like, "Sport mode, click, click." And pedal to the floor. And I'm past 5 of those vehicles in 3 seconds. Like the Ioniq does 4.30 to 60. Yeah. And
that's almost as quick as our truck.
Almost as quick as my truck, but not quite.
Yeah, but he's he's getting like 10 times the range as we are, though. So
What is the range on your Ioniq 6?
It comes up 600K on the ideal range. We were doing about
3,600, Josh.
450. We were doing about 450. 450 kilometers is what we were doing for most of ours.
That would be 450, so that would be 24, like almost 300 miles.
But we never got down below 25%, so I don't know the full range.
With our truck, I mean, it's advertised 320, but I mean, on the highway, on our road trips, I mean, I'm going almost 80 miles an hour.
270.
But I mean, we're getting 260.
Yeah.
But that's something that, I mean, I always would take vehicles. And so like this beach location that we go to with a family, there's always this spot that is about 100-mile stretch that's like that, where it's the 2 lanes. And you get stuck behind these slow cars. And I would always be in the car whining to try to get past these vehicles quickly, because you don't want to, I mean, the oncoming traffic and you're trying to weave. But now when it comes to 2 lanes and the passing game,
it's
my
so
wife,
much.
And it's not the fact that you're behind someone. It's the fact that you're behind someone and they're going 2/3 the speed limit.
Yeah. But the fact that you can pass them in literally a quarter of a second.
Yeah, we should set laws to where if they're going 2/3 of speed, you should be allowed to use the pit maneuver on them and go away legally. That should be set up that way.
Yeah.
So that way, sorry,
Yeah, Josh, that Jesse's tried this when he shows up with big cattle grills right on the front of his truck. He's like,
Push bar.
I will not say say I've ever wrecked anybody on a racetrack before. I'm not going to say I did. A couple times. I used to race a long time ago, so.
So yeah, I mean, it seems like the charging infrastructure is decent.
It is
now.
decent, yeah.
Speed of charging. What
It said 350.
level of chargers are you seeing? Are they 350s? Are they 100s?
They say
What-
350s. They very rarely, like, there was a couple times where I'd gotten the battery down to 35-40% and plugged in, and I was getting 150, 160 out of it.
And I mean,
I say I'm 6'4" and 200 pounds too, but that ain't quite right either. So
Right.
you say a lot of things that
I say a lot of things.
but yeah, I mean, the vehicle will sometimes only accept a certain amount, and we're seeing a lot of locations that they have a 350 station that's capable of delivering 350, but they've tampered the load to the site. And so it's a balance. I think even on the fastest full demand, my truck's only ever going to receive 170.
Well, and see, that's the thing with the i6 is the Ioniq 6 is it's supposed to actually be able to receive up to 350. They've actually got it set to be able to do that. And I've seen a couple people online get like 289, 290.
So it must be the charging infrastructure then.
Yeah.
I would say so.
And some of it's also, a lot of it factors in with the temperature of the battery when you plug in, the speed of the
Conditioning your
charging.
battery ahead of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's several of those pieces that are in play, but that's something that obviously,
Well, one of our charging systems at only one location that we may go with for the airport side is a 400. So it would be a 400 charge discharge that you could do with one, or 200 if you have two vehicles or aircraft charging at one time. So what happens when that technology gets to the point to where you have two 400s and you can stop your vehicle, plug one on one side, one on the other. Now you're getting 800. You're looking at a 5-minute charge for 1,000 miles at that point, and I don't think that's far off. I think you could really look at that in the next few years.
My little smart car that I have is definitely envious of all of this. It's a 2014 EV Smart, and it maxes out at 4.6 kilowatts. It doesn't even have a level 2. It's just a J1772. Like, that's it.
It only goes 100 kilometers or about 60 miles before it's out of charge too. So
Yeah.
So down to the mailbox and back, and you're ready to go again.
I'm guessing you take the i6 around most places.
Most of the time, yeah. The little Smart we picked up online for like $9,000, and it's
it's a puddle jumper.
It's a puddle
great
jumper,
for in town.
second vehicle for us. Like, we don't really need it for anything else, but still, it's got, like, it surprised me because I used to have one of the little diesels back in 2012. And if you guys have ever seen the Smart car, it's a little two-door Smart 4.2. I had the diesel, and it had 49 horsepower. Well, this one has 72 horsepower, which is a huge increase for the same vehicle, right? Like, it does 11 seconds 0 to 60, which
That is quick.
That for a smart car
for that size, it feels like you're in a go-kart.
Oh yeah,
11 seconds. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it's crazy to think of that compared to what we have, right?
Yeah.
As you compare that to an ICE vehicle, and it's like, oh, that's actually not that bad for 70 horsepower.
Yep.
My wife's minivan's probably like 0 to 60 in like
a week and a half.
Basically.
I'd put a mower deck on that thing and make it a lawnmower if that was mine too. If you have a smart car lawnmower, just pull it around everywhere.
All right, kids, make sure your heads are back against the seat. Mommy's gonna floor it.
It's like a sloth
I'm not going to
reaction.
say that I've made my children and wife sick in my truck before, and I can't drive like normal anymore.
I'm not going to say I haven't injured someone in my truck. I launched them, and the next day they had to go to the dentist because I damaged one of their teeth.
We took our 80-some-year-old grandma in the car, and we were like, "Grandma, put your head back." Oh, what do you mean? Put your head back against the seat. and she's like, "Oh, okay." So she sits up, and then we hit the gas, and she's like, "Woo!"
And that was the last time we got to talk to Grandma before she left. So.
Yeah, when Kristian took me out in his Ioniq, he was like, "Oh, check this out." And he's on a road out in the back where it flips it over to sport mode, and we're sitting in the stop, and he's like, "Sit back." And I'm like, "Okay." And I sit back because I'd never been in an electric vehicle when they had, like, I've been in one, but it was a hybrid, so nothing special, right?
Not the same, yeah.
Not the same. He planted that thing down, and all of my flesh went.
Yeah, I mean, 4 seconds compared to any vehicle I've ever driven is insane. But my buddy has a Rivian, and he can do 3.5, and it's even crazier.
Yeah.
Yep.
But the thing I've yet to do, which is on the bucket list, is Lucid Air Sapphire or the Tesla Plaid. It's
Sportster,
about
whatever.
the same.
You could say that all you want. I'd rather have the Remic.
True.
I want
I
to
mean,
try
if you're
that
gonna, if you're going to
Sub
say
2.
might as well, that Remic.
The Remic
is,
Navara is 1.7.
Oh,
The Lucid Air Sapphire is like 1.8.
at that point, I'm wondering what the G-forces are like. Are you going to have to start wearing like G-force suits to drive these
I've had
cars?
people
It gets
complain-
so hard that you have to call it an F instead of a G. It goes to another whole. It's the F force at that time.
Well, you're saying something that starts with F. That's for sure.
That's exactly what that means.
I've had people in my truck though say they felt like the blood rushing in their head when I'm launching them, and I'm like, just imagine going over double that speed. Seriously,
That
and
acceleration.
that's not just like you feel it a little bit more. That's twice the acceleration. I mean, it's insane.
Yeah.
But the Lucid Air Sapphire 1.8.
Yep.
They put it on the drag strip line. If you haven't watched it, go on YouTube and look up. They did a Plaid
Or Rumble.
They did a Plaid versus a Lucid Air Sapphire versus like a Bugatti and a Ducati, and it absolutely smoked.
But that's
the Lucid Air smoked all of them.
That's where
And
this
it's just-
EV space is so cool. You can have that car that can get 100 plus equivalent miles to the gallon and still be the fastest car on the road. And it
To watch it take down a $2.5 million Bugatti was gigantically satisfying.
So
Now, it was still $250,000.
It's a $250,000 vehicle, but it's taking down a $3 million Bugatti. I mean, that's
0 to 60 in 1.7 seconds is 1.7 Gs.
1.7 Gs.
but
So
so
a
it's
G
enough to
per-
make you feel lightheaded, but not to pass out.
But
Yeah, you're not going to pass out on that. You need to be up around, 10 Gs, I think?
Normal people can handle up to
7, 8,
5
yeah.
before they start to really feel effects, and
the
then
G suits.
and then
Okay,
after
we
that,
can G suit and then learn
you
the
see people-
breathing. You know,
Jesse,
I mean,
we do not want to see you in spandex. No one wants that.
Everybody thought it was great at the party, so we don't need to talk about that.
Until
I
the
was,
police
I
showed
was
up.
a great Spider-Man. Thank you.
Until the police showed up.
It wasn't my party. They're like, put your pants on.
but you have to remember that's only 1.7 Gs for a couple seconds.
Yeah.
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 So
Still,
it's,
though,
it's
that's
still
amazing.
it's something that you definitely feel.
Yeah, almost doubling your weight.
Now, how
500
many?
pounds going against. I mean, you would even think you would have to like gusset the seats. You would have to know that when somebody takes off in that car, that seat's going to have a lot more weight against it than it's designed for.
Yeah.
Every time you do that, and then that constant over and over and over again, you're probably going to wear out stuff like gussets and things like that a lot quicker than you would a normal car.
Yeah.
Now, have you gone up against any vehicles on the road at like a red light?
No,
And-
I haven't. Yeah, I did in my smart car.
That's smart
actually.
car,
I
yes.
have in the smart car, and like shocked. Oh yeah, shocked the crap out of the guys that like what was the guy I was racing the one day? He had like a Chevy Corvette or something, like an older one.
Allegedly.
Yeah,
Allegedly.
and I rolled down.
Road.
I rolled down my window and I kind of waved at him, and I'm like, "Let's go!" And he looks at me and he's like, "Whatever." And I put the pedal to the floor. Well, a block later, he finally caught up to me, and he's
Yeah, I mean, like you see these vehicles pull up, and I mean they're in their souped up vehicles, and that I mean I don't think that nobody actually realizes the
You don't know
power
how
of an
fast
EV.
it is.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are ignorant. Like it's been entertaining to have some people like. I've picked up a few people that are like, "Is this an electric? Oh, that's cool. I've never driven an electric before." I'm like, "Hold on a second." And they're like, "Are you kidding me?"
Yeah.
Like, it's a
and that's what's kind of fun with the Ioniq too is that it looks like just your regular 4-door sedan.
yeah.
And when you have the EVs that have the variable transmission where there's no stutter with a shift, like that also changes the feel of the ride. So
Yeah. Yeah. Now, the big question is, why does Jess not have an EV? Yep.
Cost.
Here you are talking about it,
Cost
but
and availability is the biggest one
It's the
too.
biggest thing. Kristian waited 2 years.
I'm still on a wait list to get an Ioniq 5, which is the kind of mini SUV. I'm still on a wait list at 2 different dealerships here.
Can Tesla not get you one in 3-4 months?
Yeah, even the Teslas here in Saskatchewan are 6 to 12 months, and I don't.
Wow.
Well, if you order one here, make a road trip down together, join the podcast. I'll have it delivered to my house because it'll take 3 months, and then you can just drive it back.
I think he's also saying he'll pay for it too. Isn't
Yeah,
that correct?
I
Now,
think
Josh,
I heard
there
that.
you
I
go.
like that deal.
This is all part
what
of
it is.
this
It's
is all part of
recorded.
Power Up Canada, right? It's a write-off.
The
Power Up
wee
Moose.
division.
Power Up Moose.
We-
Power Up
the
Moose.
yeah,
yellow.
hey, you want to paint it that way? I'll take it.
No matter.
No, it's in the works. It's in the plans. So
Which one would you go for? What's your EV of choice?
I honestly don't know. I'd have to really look at it. I'm currently driving a Bronco Sport, so
Oh yes.
yeah, I really like it.
I had the Bronco, the full size Bronco, Outer Banks.
That's
That's what he has.
mine's the Sport Outer Banks, so it's a little smaller, but it's really like it.
Sasquatch package on the regular. It was just sharp.
Mm-hmm.
But then my wife got pregnant with my third kid, and
They don't
3
fit in the
kids.
Bronco.
3 kids, 2 adults, and a Bronco. It was like you're going to a minivan. And so now she drives a Honda Odyssey.
And then that's actually what I was going to get before I got my F-150 Lightning. Was I was going to get a Bronco. I wanted the yellow one.
They're so. I
4-door.
mean, my neighbor across the street has a 2-door Sasquatch. I don't know what trim. I think it's an Outer Banks, but a 2-door. And I mean, it's
Yep.
it's a nice.
Yeah.
That
Well,
was a really good redo by Ford. The Bronco series. has been-
Absolutely. I took mine up north. I go up north fishing way. Like when we say up north in Canada, we're talking like way up
the
north.
polar bears.
Oh.
Not quite that far, but yeah, it's quite
You're
far.
already north. I mean,
Yeah, but we're here where we are in Moose Jaw. We're only like an hour and a half from the American border. So when
Yeah.
I'm saying north, I'm saying almost to the like 2/3 of the way up the province, which is
Be the lower part of Alaska.
yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
And you get into some pretty rocky and tough conditions, and the roads they're not paved, they're gravel. And this thing was a beast. It was on those roads. It never even slid. It went around corners like it was on rails, and I was doing 60 miles an hour on like a back road, and no problems. So I really enjoyed that. vehicle.
I could see him in an F-150 like you guys in the Lightning.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Especially with the prices and stuff coming down recently and whatnot. Like,
Well, I will have a used one coming up soon.
And then you can pick it up.
Yeah, because once the Cybertruck comes out, I have found out my number is around 10,000 Cybertruck. So when it comes out, I will be going over to that vehicle. So I probably will be selling my F-150. Thought about keeping it and letting my son drive it, but
He would
I
do
think-
too much with a.
I
0
think
to
he
60
does
in
not. His
3.9.
15-year-old does not need an F-150.
no, he needs
And
he needs a smart car.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go. We'll trade even. So,
Because
And then he can't go that far either.
and he can only carry one friend.
Yeah.
the problem is he's about
you bring the
6'3",
smart car
6'4"
down.
now. So
You
No
bring the
back
smart car
seat
down
either.
and you can pick up the Lightning. Yeah, I mean what was the point I was trying to make?
there it went. I saw the bulb blow out.
It disappeared. I had a point to make and then it went away.
He had a short.
No, I think Jess would be good with a Lightning.
Yeah.
That was
Lightning-
it.
Yeah.
I'm a huge dude. I'm 6'6".
Yeah.
And I
He
undisclosed
fits really
weight.
well.
I'm 6'6", but every vehicle I drove in, my first car I drove was a Ford Focus, which was like the little tiny one. I had the
Yeah.
The clown
seat
car.
all the way pressed
Clown
against
car.
the back.
I had a Focus for many, many years before I got into the last vehicle I had was an Edge, which I really liked as well.
And I had to duck to drive, but then I got in my first truck and I was like, okay, well this is the rest of my life because even SUVs aren't as spacious as
No.
the F-150s.
Yeah.
And you think it's the same size? No, it's not.
No.
Nope.
And just a truck fits me and my size.
Yeah. When I got this one, I seriously looked at the what was it? It's the all electric Ford truck, but it's not the 150. It's the other one.
They have a hybrid Maverick.
That's
it.
there's a hybrid, and that was the one I was looking at because
I love
all the
those,
other
yeah.
ones that are all electric they're too small.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, the hybrids are definitely a well sought after item up here, just because then you don't have the range anxiety.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
hope they do plug-in hybrids here. We got a few vehicles that's done it, but I think if you hit that sweet spot of about 50-mile range on that plug-in option, and then every day I can get up with 50 miles of just plugged-in electricity.
Exactly.
It's your commute car. It's
Then
perfect.
I can do everything I do during the daytime, but if I have to go, 400 miles to Nashville or 250 miles to Nashville, I can without having to worry that I need to stop and charge halfway there, which, even on 250 miles to Nashville, the charging stations are not where we need to go. We're near downtown yet. The slow chargers don't really work out well. So we have to charge halfway to get to Nashville, which is only a 250-mile trip. So that's a little aggravating. I wish we could get there, charge, and then come back. But, by this time next year, we'll probably be opening 3 locations across Interstate 40 that then we can do that and not have to worry about it. So
Not use.
And
not use
we've
inferior.
got lots of new ones opening here too. Like I know there's a couple that are right in the middle of nowhere that they just announced the last couple of days that are 6 or 8 stalls, and they're
A little town that's
Little
on,
town.
on the main on the number 1 highway, which is our large highway that crosses the entire country.
our one
east to west.
interstate.
Yeah, and there'll be like a little town that has maybe 100 people in it, and there'll be an EV charging station that you can just stop with a little store type thing in it.
What type of incentives, as another side point, do you get for buying an EV in the United States? As long as the MSRP is under $80,000 US, you basically, if you buy a plug-in hybrid, that meets I think a couple of requirements, but then any full electric vehicle, you get $7,500 back
So-
as a tax credit. What
There's-
type of incentives do you guys get?
There's provincial incentives, so like state incentives, and federal ones. The federal ones have a list of vehicles that meet those requirements, and it's the same sort of thing. There's a dollar value. I'm not sure what that dollar value is, but the vehicle has to be under a certain dollar value to get that federal incentive. And then provincially, we have nothing here. In our province, there's nothing. Jess just pulled up the numbers.
It's between $2,500 and $5,000 Canadian incentive, depending on the vehicle. Let me go further down here.
there are places here you can get a 5,000 on used vehicles, and then certain cities and states you get an extra 2,500 on used vehicles. I wonder if that means we could buy their smart car and pay for it with the incentives and have it for free. We'll try it. Let's see if we can try that. Let's see if we can do that. See if we get $9,000 in incentives
How
on
are
a
you
used
getting?
vehicle.
How are you getting that vehicle down here?
Oh, I'm
Mike?
going to drive that thing here.
You ain't going to drive it anywhere with a 100-kilometer range. The chargers are not close enough. And
You got to remember, our trucks can charge other vehicles.
Actually-
I'm not coming alone.
so again, this comes back to my problem of it being a 4.6 kilowatt input. That's all it can take.
Oh, I could put it on a trailer and charge it as we go down the road.
We might actually be able to get you a snowmobile topper that goes on the back of your truck and drive it right up on top of
you
you.
go.
And then what you do is you put some solar panels on top of that.
Yes. Yep.
So yeah, F-150 would be $5,000 is what you get for
Okay.
incentive. Yeah.
About the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, with a conversion, it's about the same.
Yep.
I mean, that makes it that for the plug-in hybrid space. I mean, for those with range anxiety and dealing with like tiptoeing in to the space, if they can get plug-in hybrids to 50
Yeah.
miles of range, and you still get the tax credit, and you still get the benefits, and all of your commute then becomes all electric. We've said it multiple times. I think that's the next step towards that. You can push people to all electric, and with the charging infrastructure improvements and things, I think that that's something that
It's on its way.
adoption will improve.
Yeah.
I wasn't overly concerned when I bought my truck. There's been minor issues, but nothing crazy. And that's with the infrastructure the way it is. It's literally about to get over 3 times better than what it currently is.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so it's going to be something that with my vehicle, the only inconvenience is on a road trip, the slightly extra time. I won't say slightly, the extra time it takes to charge. It's, it
But I
does take
mean,
more time.
You
but it's
rewind.
not-
You rewind 100 years, and they probably had the same issue with the Model T.
Yeah.
Right?
Anytime I took my horse up and down the valley,
Yeah.
and it would take me 2 weeks, I would almost die of dysentery.
Yeah.
I mean, my wagon would have a tire fall off when, 3 weeks to cross one state. Yeah, I could see it being still better than that.
That is how old you are.
First world problems over there.
There's the sound effects that we need.
So
but
yeah,
so I mean,
Ford Escape
I think-
plug-in is the same thing. It's a $5,000 incentive. The plug-in.
Hybrid version.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean that's the way it is here. Is you still get the same credit for buying a plug-in hybrid. And
We
that's
don't
a
have
very
any of the
viable
same
solution.
used things that you do, though. Like we have zero used incentives.
Is that state or is that federal?
I don't remember. I have to quantify
I think
that.
it was.
I know
I
that
think like
there's certain
California
states that-
state awarded that type of credit.
well,
but-
we can
And
do
it's
just like
you
him and
say,
look on Google.
It's probably this, very similar to what we have. Every province has different things. BC being very progressive, similar to California, they're very ahead of the curve on that too. So they have more incentives. They've got incentives for companies to even put chargers in on site, like at the grocery store and things like that. They've got big cash incentives to get more of that infrastructure in place.
So you can get $4,000 on a used EV through the federal program.
Federal, okay.
But it's 30% of the sale price. So, and you can't go over 20. It's $25,000 or less.
Well, I can write
so
you-
it's only 30% of whatever. Oh yeah,
I can write
that's
you a
$15,000
receipt for 20
car right
Yeah.
there, ain't
Yeah,
it? $20,000 car. So
Let me tell you about a deal I have.
One of the things that I was talking about the speed of charging. I think one of the things that people don't realize is on a road trip, the idle time that they usually have, even in a gas powered vehicle,
Yeah.
they don't spend it at the gas station.
Mm-hmm.
They don't spend it at the gas station, but they usually spend it at the restaurant
Mm-hmm.
eating while they. So it's a matter of finding charge. I mean, I took my trip to Florida and back, and that's a
12, 14 hours.
600 miles, I think is what
Yeah,
it is.
something like that. Yeah.
And so I had to charge twice on the way down there.
Mm-hmm.
Got there to a hotel, and I told you about that charging experience. But then on the way back, you had the same thing, 2 charges. And on the way down, it was we stopped for lunch. We found a charger that was next to a Ruby Tuesdays, restaurant.
and you're going to be in there for an hour.
Yeah, we were in there for 45 minutes. And so not only, I mean, the high-speed charging is to 80%, but not only did I get to 80, I was at like 88%. It slowed down, but it still charged me all the way up to 88%.
Yeah.
Got all the way down. And when we took my kids, we ended up not driving all the way down. We actually stopped the night because we didn't want to make the 14-hour road trip in one day. So we stopped the night at a hotel, woke up the next morning, and drove the last 3 hours. And so in that world, I could basically do lunch or dinner in that situation, stop for the night, be fully charged, make it all the way there, and I experienced no inconvenience in my day. It's a matter of just being strategic and saying, when I was with my wife, the second stop, we just hung out. We watched an episode of The Office, and by the time the episode of The Office was over with, I was ready to go.
Yeah.
Which episode?
I don't remember. I don't remember.
Jeez.
I love The Office so much.
You
and I've
ruined
watched
the
it so
whole
much.
story.
I can definitely see a lot of the in the future, gas stations would be more of a coffee shop instead, where you'd stop, plug your vehicle in, go in, sit down, watch on your phone, have a coffee or whatever your drink is, or a sandwich or something, and then head off on what you're going to do.
And the best charging stations for me are the ones that are located close to amenities. And a lot of the charging stations we have now are like kind of like in a Walmart parking lot. And so like you're limited on your amenities, but sometimes that actually is in close enough proximity to, like we went up to Northern Virginia, stopped at a Walmart, but right around the corner was like a Jersey Mike's or something. It was a Firehouse Subs. And so we walked in and had a sub.
Yeah.
By the time we finished eating, went back to the car, it was fully charged, ready to go.
Yeah, that's the
So-
key to these charging stations is they've got to have those little roadside attractions is what we'd call them here. Is you got to have something to do, something to eat, somewhere to maybe even a small little playground with some swings.
Price some more money out of you. Yeah.
Yeah.
But as battery tech improves, we're going to see quicker charge speeds, and we're going to see lighter weight, and so you'll get more efficiency and longer range, and you'll be able to charge quicker. Like my vehicle will only deliver 170, so it does take me 40 minutes to charge my truck at a charging stop. Whereas if you actually were able to peak at, let's say, 250, I would be able to be at that charging stop for 15 minutes less, 20 minutes less.
Well, that's today. Imagine when it is 350 and that upload and everything.
Even with a 200
you're
kilowatt
looking at
battery.
10 minutes, you're ready to go.
Yeah.
And really, I play on my phone more than 10 minutes when I, wee. So it's one of those things that,
Well, and on a road trip with families, you guys know, we're stopping for gas. So when you did, you jump out. Everyone would go off and do their washroom breaks and everything like that. You'd be filling the vehicle up, and then you'd go in, you'd pay, and then they'd be doing their thing in the store, and then they'd come out. And by the time you're done, it's been 20 minutes already. So,
Absolutely. Every time we've stopped with the kids at a gas station, it's minimum 15
I can't wait
minutes.
till they get a Buc-ee's up in Canada. That's going to be fantastic. Instead of a beaver, they better use the moose.
Yeah. Moosies.
Oh, let's make our own.
Moosies.
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 Like Moosees. Moosies, like Buc-ee's. No.
Anyway, so thank you all for coming. It's about that time, too, ain't
almost
it?
out of time,
Yeah,
yeah.
almost out of time. Don't let me forget after this to tell you about something else our charging stations are going to have. Don't want to spill the beans on it yet because...
So all of our listeners, you can't find out right now.
Yeah, we'll let you know about that here in a little while because November 1st. So our November, the first or second week of November, we'll be able to go through and tell everybody what locations. We'll go ahead and open the door on what charging systems we're going to be using and how many locations and everything about our charging network that we're going to do. And hopefully we'll get some traction behind that. And I don't know. Maybe we can put one up in Canada because the aircraft I think would be the best way of doing it because I really do see that as something we can do.
That way
I'm
we
looking
can fly our
forward.
EV aircraft up to your house.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing them up here, you guys.
Well, see, that can be Jess's first EV.
There you go.
EV plane.
Yeah.
I mean,
It works for me.
It
It may cost $3 million, but I mean, we'll get you an EV plane.
actually, I don't know how much they cost.
I mean,
We'll have to call up
They're not
Joby
even out for commercial use yet, so I don't know if they.
We'll call Ian and have him
give us a
price us
price.
one.
But yeah. Well, it's been fun. Thank
It really
you guys
has.
Thank you
so
all
much
Yeah.
for
so much
joining.
on this.
We'll have another joint episode at some point. This
Sure.
has been good, insightful conversation.
Absolutely. Well, thank you all again. This has been another episode of Turn Down for What?
And
Nerdish,
nerdy nerd news.
Yeah, join us. So we've got not just EV stuff, but anything tech. So you can find us anywhere on the internet at any podcast place, as well as wildshot.ca. That's our website.
And we are on all same platforms. Turn Down for What on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all of the popular platforms. And we are Turn Down for What podcast.com. And we also we'll have this entire recording on YouTube if you follow Turn Down for What on YouTube. So,
Booty boop.
boop, boop, boop.
All right. Thank you all.
Thanks again for letting us into your ear holes with this nerdish, nerdy nerd news podcast. Check out our website at wildshot.ca.
You can find us on all the socials under Nerdish, Nerdy, Nerd News. Listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. You can also subscribe and support us at patreon.com/nerdish to get more bonus content, show notes, and merch.
If you'd like to send us topics for future episodes or comment about our existing ones, please email us info@wildshot.ca. And remember, stay nerdy.
Nerdish, nerdy, nerd news.